because I'm a basic bitch. So, go ahead and get this set up. Get this set up. Alright, so Twitch is good to go. And then let me get this pulled up. Okay. And then we'll hit tools on that. Invite. I'm just hoping this old phone doesn't die. It's at 34%. Should be enough, I'm hoping. This shit's will work. Imagine. Yours is cleaner than mine because I got two over the top headsets. Alright, so whenever you're ready, go ahead and take that invite.
Alright, bro. And then we'll get going.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Ears up, we're good to go. Let's do this.
Let's do this, boy. What up, podcast people? It is the Money Mike Show. And, as per usual, we are doing this way later than planned. Blame the dog. That's all I gotta say about it. But anyhow, as always, we are live on Twitch. This will be on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere Anchor puts their stuff out on, and then YouTube, and it'll be in the recordings for Twitch for the time being. But we are getting into, as promised, the NBA prediction of awards. And this time, y'all don't have to listen to my ugly voice alone. We got Tanner Huber on the headset with us, joining us today.
Hey, how we doing?
And he has been prompted and given time to think about his picks. So if y'all clown his picks, let me know. Because he was given ample time to figure this shit out. I gave him days notice. Ample fucking time. Alright, but anyhow, we're going to get into it. We will start with MVP. I don't know how you did your list, but I actually did a top 3 for every award.
I just did one.
Just did one. Okay, so I'll give who I think it is, but then I'll kind of say my honorable mentions with it. But since you're the guest, go ahead with your MVP.
Well, just considering kind of what we got going on, considering the bubble, what we saw in the bubble last year, I'm going to make a kind of ballsy prediction. You know what that is?
What is that?
It's Dame time, baby.
Fuck.
Dame time.
Okay. Now.
Damian Lillard will lead the Portland Trailblazers
Oh, God.
beyond where they've been in recent years. In the bubble, 37.6 points per game, almost 10 assists per game, 6 3-pointers made per game. I don't think he's going to slow down.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting case. Now, I'm going to give you mine, and this is based off of my half-assed internet research I did. If you look at the last, let's see here, that's 6 years. The last 6 years, MVP has either been the first overall seed in his conference, or there's been one exception, and that was the Westbrook year when he was 6th, because he averaged a triple-double. So then the way I looked at it is either you got to be a top 3 team, or you got to ball on a historical level. So with that in mind, I'm going LeBron James. I think he gets another one. I think LA will coast a little bit, but I think they'll get that 1 seed, and he'll have another great year.
I tell you what, I almost picked LeBron James,
Okay.
but then I considered a comment that was made within the last couple of months that if they were going to get started in December, that some of these older guys might take some time off, might rest that first month. And the question I ask myself is, if he does take off that first month, how will that affect the voters, Writers Association that votes? If he sits out that first month or so, could that turn writers away from voting for him? My personal opinion is yes.
I think so, possibly too. And that right there is the reason Kawhi didn't make my top 3 this year, is because I think he's going to rest.
Oh, no doubt.
But given the Lakers just come off the finals, and you know how much LeBron media attention he gets the year after he comes off of finals, I think just between him and Anthony Davis, they're going to coast to another 1 seed. And I think the storyline's just there that he gets one, because people are going to start whining and complaining that it's been too long since he got one. And not to mention the storyline of him getting one that late in his career versus Jordan and that whole debate. I think it's going to push it.
It's a mess, yeah.
I think that's what pushes it. But anyhow, so I'll give my honorable mentions real quick. I had Kevin Durant for the fact, again, I thought a top 3 seed in the East possibly. And he's going to have the storyline behind him of coming back off that injury. And I think he can do it. And then the last one I based kind of off that Russell Westbrook kind of shot out of hell. And I went Steph Curry. I think that team's going to need to ride his back, and I think he's going to go back to the old ways and be 30 plus and just killing it. And I think that storyline with Clay going down might give him enough to get it.
I tell you what,
it's a shot out of hell, but
it would have been really intriguing to see how he would have been last year if he didn't break his hand. Because the question that still sits this year is, how is he going to be without Klay Thompson? Not only does he have his partner in crime out, but also that's one less person to take the attention away from him.
That's true, but I think given what this team brought in, they brought in a lot more athleticism than past years. Past years, it's been a lot of old guys that fit certain roles. This year, it's guys that aren't necessarily great shooters, not great defenders, but they're athletic, and maybe they can push that tempo a little bit, because when Steph gets out in transition, he draws so much attention that it gets them open and eventually starts getting him open to where he's back to chucking 30 fucking footers without caring, and it's going in and he's shimmying on the way back. I just think people haven't seen the shimmy in a while. They haven't seen that little spark in him, and I think the storylines might carry it. It's a shot out of hell, but I think it might carry it.
Yeah, and the question for me will be as well, he hasn't seen full-on NBA game action in over a year now. So the question is going to be, how long will it take him to adjust back into the kind of the rhythm he was in? I don't think it'll be super long, but again, we're talking about the MVP bait here, so I think every game matters.
I think he'll be able to come out the gates because he's been sitting so long, and teams are going to half-ass on defense that first part of the season, more like an all-star game than an actual regular season. And I think that's kind of when he gets some quick 45, 50-point games and it starts that momentum early.
That's bold. I like it.
It is. All right, now the next award, Most Improved Player. Last year went to Brandon Ingram, and it got him a max deal. So we'll kind of see based on who you think and then who I think. So go ahead.
All right, well, I'm biased as all get out here, and I'm going to let you guess. He's a guy who in the bubble became more confident, really showed out in the playoffs. The only way he can go is up.
I'm going to go, knowing your bias, I'm going Tyler Hero.
And you are correct, sir.
I fucking knew it.
I think Tyler Hero has an incredible shot at this. This is just his averages from the bubble, and keep in mind he rose exponentially as they went through the playoffs. But in 29 games, 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and but the biggest change was the stuff that's off the stat sheet. Just his confidence in his shots. He got his rhythm more. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. You couldn't take your eyes off the screen. And I think he's got Jimmy Butler, who's kind of in the big brother, and Jimmy's just going to keep instilling that dog mentality in him too. He's not going to waver. He's not going to see that as this was my hot point. Like, this is the expectation now. I think this is what we're going to keep seeing.
Right. I kind of thought about him with the storyline. I just don't know if, even if he goes up to 19 points a game or something like that, if that's enough of a jump for him to win the award, not necessarily not be in the conversation, but win the award per se. So my guy, I'll give you my initial one, and then I kind of had a backup thought. I think Jaylen Brown. I think he takes that leap forward, goes on that Brandon Ingram type pace that we saw Brandon go on this year, as he's going to be asked to do more scoring. Kemba's out the beginning of the year. It's going to be him and Tatum running the show. And when they were doing that in the bubble, it was quick, it was athletic, it was versatile. And I think that they could start something at the beginning of the year to where he ends up averaging 20 plus and just has Boston up there as a 1 through 4 seed in the East. And it's largely due because of him.
Hey, and I'll ask you this. Do you mind if I backtrack just for a quick second?
Yeah, go ahead.
You talk about guys who, they're starting without players for the first part of the season, and Kristaps Porzingis is going to be out probably the first month of the season or so. And I noticed a name in your top that was not in your top 3, was Luka Doncic. Where does he sit in your list, and why is he out of your top 3?
So, I've heard the Luka thoughts. I think he will get better. I think last year was kind of a shell shock year, and he might start to get a little bit of the Patrick Mahomes effect that we have in the NFL, of where Patrick posts great numbers and we're like, oh, okay, Patrick being Patrick. It was kind of like back when we used to say Brady being Brady after he'd win a game. And then once you get to that point, he might lose a little bit of the storyline that Durant coming out of nowhere has, or Curry carrying his team to a 5 seed. Something like that. I think he's going to lose a little bit of the shine that he gained last year, and especially because that team's not going to play defense. They're going to get into high shootout games, and I feel like they're kind of going to be rocky off the start anyway without Porzingis. So I think that's why he doesn't make the top 3. But my honorable mention for most improved, this might be a little biased, but I think his increased role on this team, and I think that we have a competent coach that you don't want to watch paint dry instead of watch the Bulls, is Coby White. I think Coby White, he had kind of a mediocre season, only around 13 points per game. I think he can step that up to 15 to 18, as he's going to be more of a scorer on this team. He's going to probably be starting point guard. It's going to be him and Levine, which God help us on defense. But I feel like he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, and I feel like he's going to improve and jump a little bit, kind of like Colin Sexton did, and kind of get more into that rhythm and that NBA style of play.
I'll tell you what, personally, I thought of his name as well, but I think that's a name that's going to be a very good candidate for this award in maybe 2 years. Because coming into the league, a young guy especially, this is when the influence you get early on is going to affect you the rest of your career. And the fact that don't get me wrong, he stepped in and he did a pretty good job considering the circumstances. But you also had an absolute dummy ingraining stuff into his head. And as a rookie, right, you want to get on the good side, especially keep your starting role. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever. That ain't the type of guy to be yes, sir, and no, sir, into.
True.
You don't know what he's doing. So that's what I would say there.
Right, yeah. I see that. I think that eventually, now that Chicago's going to start winning more games, maybe we'll get a little more media attention than we have in the last couple of years, and maybe that carries him a little bit. Next one is Rookie of the Year. Kind of a meh class, so it's kind of a toss-up, but who did you pick for your Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, this is a guy who I told you I liked from the get-go. It's going to be Tyrese Halliburton with the Kings. And when I make this pick, I think whose game is going to be most compatible with today's NBA, and I think that's him. There was a quote, I forget which journalist wrote this, but he said he glides. He doesn't run, he glides.
Okay.
And also his IQ, I think, is beyond anybody else that was in lottery, let alone the entire draft. He also excels in the pick and roll, which has been, I think that's what led to Zion's early success in the, however many games he played, was that he's very good with the pick and roll. Him and Lonzo were just in sync. Bringing up Lonzo Ball, a lot of people's concerns with him, kind of like Lonzo, has the very unorthodox shot. However, what sets him apart from Lonzo is that, Tyrese's release, yeah, it's weird, but it's consistent.
Okay. You're not concerned about sharing it with De'Aaron Fox at all?
Every time. No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know. I mean, you just paid De'Aaron a max. I don't think De'Aaron takes a back seat.
I think he'll settle into more of a, how do I put this? I think he'll go for, I don't think he's going to try and force it to the rim every time. I think if the organization shows their confidence in Tyrese, I don't see De'Aaron Fox getting too selfish.
Okay. So mine, I went for the home run swing because why not? Normally it's one of those higher up guys in the lottery, and so I went with LaMelo. I think he's going to stuff a stat sheet, even if it's meaningless stats. I think people are going to get casual with it, look at the stat sheet, and call it his. With the spotlight he's going to get, and being in Charlotte, I think Charlotte will have a couple of flashy games with Gordon Hayward kind of leading that team. And I think he'll get a couple of solid wins or a quick lob pass that ends up on SportsCenter or a game-winning assist, things like that to kind of keep him in the spotlight. Not to mention his father just being LeVar Ball. But I think that'll keep him. I think that'll keep him in the spotlight enough to where he ends up winning that award because Wiseman will have a mediocre season, and who knows what Anthony Edwards is going to do with that offense that he's kind of going to be a spot up in. And a lot of those upper guys, I don't necessarily see them having fantastic years. Whereas LaMelo, I can feel like he'll get like 8 and 9 or something like that with a couple of boards thrown in, just enough to kind of keep him above everybody else.
Yeah, I'll definitely say he was my number 2. Another thought I had was, who was in the best position to succeed right away, and LaMelo Ball was definitely one of the first guys that came to mind. He needs a place where they give him the ball and he can have the ball, and Charlotte was definitely the place for him there.
Yeah. But now let's go ahead and get on to Defensive Player of the Year. Who did you have for yours?
Again, with my bias, we are going to go with Idris Adebayo, better known as Bam.
He was actually second on my list.
We we went into some advanced analytics to make this decision, to justify this decision, I should say. But fun fact, Bam Adebayo was second to only Anthony Davis in a stat called defensive points saved.
Okay.
With his defense, he was also 8th in total points added. He's going into his 4th season, and again, as he's taking more of a leadership role with this Miami Heat, you look in his first 3 seasons, every stat has gotten better. But he's committing more turnovers, but he's getting the ball more. He's being trusted with more, and still the turnovers aren't scary high. But again, it's the same thing as Hero, man. He's only going to get better.
Okay. It's interesting that he mentioned he's second behind a particular person, because Anthony Davis is who I have for mine. I think he's again going to get that Lakers spotlight, and you kind of noticed it more in the playoffs when they went to him at the 5, that people kind of took more seriously on him on defense. His ability to switch, his ability to protect the rim. I could see a lot of lineups this year where he probably closes at the 5, especially if it's a close game and you just don't want Montrez on the floor and Gasol's taking a game off. I think there could be a lot of lineups with him closing at the 5, which is where I think he needs to be, honestly. I think that's just his role on a team. And with that, and just the Lakers spotlight he's going to get, the LeBron spotlight he's going to get, the national games he's going to get, I think the story gets pushed in his direction.
Okay.
Next award we're going with is going to be Coach of the Year. Who do you got for your coach?
I was stuck on this one. You see a variety of coaches in today's game, and especially, outside of the Lakers, it really could be, the East could be anybody's. 2 through 8 in the West could be almost anybody's. Not literally every team, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to be kind of a hodgepodge there. But I picked Brad Stevens out of Boston.
Okay. That's not a bad pick. I feel like that's a fairly safe pick, given that the one thing I'm worried about is I think Boston took a step back this year between losing Hayward, losing Enes Kanter. You're losing veterans that, Tatum's still pretty young, Jaylen Brown's still pretty young. They kind of need those veteran-type guys to keep them in check and keep this team rolling when those guys are in a slump. But I do think that they're still going to finish high enough in the East to where I could see it. Mine was kind of a just media attention pick again. I think it goes to Steve Nash. I think Brooklyn's good enough to finish top 3. They're going to get a lot of spotlight. As you can see, they're in a lot of marquee games. They're Christmas time. All their games are being tweeted out by Shams and Woj and these guys because they're a big name team. And I think the name drives it. Steve Nash is a rookie head coach. They magically become a top 3 team with Durant. Who would fucking figure? And I think that the media plays that jump from bottom of the playoffs to top of the playoffs and gives a whole lot of credit to Steve Nash, whether it's his or not. But I think he gets the award. My honorable mention was just kind of another media-driven one, and it's Alvin Gentry. With all the moves Phoenix did, I think that they're obviously going to be a better team and get better games, and I think his name will get a lot more recognition that he deserves. But yeah, so that was mine. And then let's see here. So next award we have is the Lou Williams Award, aka the Six Man Award. Who did you have for your six man? I'm assuming Lou Will.
No.
Okay.
I got Montrez again.
Oh,
I don't like the obvious pick.
right.
I
Absolutely.
You're just asking to lose sometimes when
Right.
you do that. But I like Montrez again. I mean, he's one of a kind, man. I mean, especially with the Lakers, he's got the ability, kind of that little. He's just got that grit. He's what, 6'7",
Yeah, I think it's what he's listed for.
and he's out here grabbing rebounds with the big dogs. And I mean, that's again, if you got the bigs focusing in on Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee's still with LA, yes?
No, he got traded to Cleveland.
He got Cleveland.
Yeah.
Who are their other bigs? You got to remind me.
Marc Gasol, the Morris twin, Davis. It's about the rotation.
Point is, you got enough of the guys there that they're not going to be quite looking at the little guy. And he's going to come in, he's going to kick some butt, and he's going to get the six man again.
Okay. Mine. I got LA winning a lot of awards, man. I can't lie to you. I think it's actually Schroeder for the Lakers. I think Clipper.
I knew you'd
Or
pick him.
I think Harrell is technically their seventh man. I think he gets the treatment he got with Lou Will last year. But I think they're going to start Caruso for that energy to start the game, and kind of keep LeBron engaged on defense. But I think Schroeder closes a lot of games for him. I think in the end he is obviously going to be their playoff point guard. I think he closes games. But OKC showed that he's not a starting caliber point guard, but he's a damn good six man. And OKC really, really brought that out of him this year. I like that role for him. I feel like his role was simplified compared to Atlanta. Atlanta, he had to do a lot more. Now he's fit more in a hole where he's not going to be a superstar by any means, but he can excel at his role. And I think he does that for the Lakers this year. And I think he's technically their six man.
Yeah, you talk about a lot of media-driven stuff, and I think Alex Caruso has the popularity he has literally because of the media. They gave him
Absolutely.
the bald mamba, you know?
Absolutely.
So my question, the only reason I went away from Schroeder is, yes, you said he's not starting caliber point guard. He wouldn't take the job from a lot of starting point guards in the league. But the question is, can he take the job from Alex Caruso? And I think by the end of January, early February, I think that answer's yes.
Right, but then we get into the point of how many games does he start? Because technically, if he's still around like that 25, 30 starts out of, say, 65 games that he plays, I believe that's still technically bench minutes. So I believe he is still under that threshold of being labeled a starter. So I think he'll still get in it. But this one is going to be kind of another easy one. Who'd you have for your executive of the year?
Hey, what? You can take a turn. You can go first.
Oh, okay. All right. Appreciate it. So my executive of the year, it's got to be Phoenix. I think the moves you made this year, as long as you don't completely fuck it up and actually make the playoffs like you should, I think that move showed Devin Booker you're serious enough to where he stays. And honestly, if you're getting Devin Booker to stay without the Giannis certainty right now, I think that Phoenix then therefore becomes executive of the year. It just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, that's I had two on my list, and that was one of them. But number two,
Mm-hmm.
I picked Elton Brand. It's the year the process is complete.
You're not going to just write in D'Antoni over his name like you're actually supposed to?
Going Elton Brand.
Okay. All right. So you want to give the puppet the recognition. Because come on now.
So that's what they're going to do in reality. So I mean,
Come on. I was like, you know the Al Horford trade was Daryl Morey because there's no way you get out of that with only one verse. He pulls the strings.
Technicalities. All right, technicalities. But he is the face.
This is
They
true.
give it to the
This is
face.
true. This
They
is
don't,
true.
they don't care about the grinders. They don't care about the people who did the grunt work. No, they give it to the face.
True.
The face.
The other honorable mention I want to mention is Rob Pelinka with the Lakers. He didn't settle off of that championship, and the fact that you extended LeBron and AD in the same offseason and did the moves you did, I think his name is up there too. whether he gets it or not. I think his name is up there.
He got bigger pockets than everybody else, though.
You're not wrong, but the fact that you retained LeBron and AD, you brought in Marc Gasol, who is a damn good center. You brought in Schroeder for next to nothing, and I feel like you made that bench better.
You got to take that with a grain of salt, though.
True.
Because how much of that was actually the GM, and how much of that was GM Bron?
So because most of these awards are driven by the media, all the morning talk shows, are they going to give a shit?
No.
They're still going to give him his credit. And at the end of the day, those views and those reactions are going to build up.
Now, what's going to happen is it's going to be like me and you. It's going to have two guys sitting there in a radio show, and they're going to be talking about the Lakers, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, LeBron brought him in. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the GM. You guys are partner. Hey, who's the GM over there? Oh, yeah, it's this man's, you know?
That's true. But then we got 4 more awards. These awards are kind of ones that we made up on the fly, just because I didn't want to do just everybody's boring awards. So the first one we're going to have is called the Devontae Graham Award. It's essentially going to be a surprise player who isn't really on the radar, but then next year all of a sudden is on the radar for what he's doing. And it's almost like Most Improved, but without the media spotlight version of Most Improved. So go ahead and take your pick.
This one I actually picked pretty quickly. I'm picking Luke Kennard for the Clippers.
Okay. That makes sense.
He showed a lot of potential in Detroit. Last year he was really finding his rhythm. Then he had that knee injury that kept him out the rest of the year. In 28 games played, he got his average up to almost 16 points a game, and he was shooting just under 40% from three.
Okay. That's not a bad one. I actually didn't even think of him, honestly. My mind was kind of set up when I looked at this particular team's depth chart and realized that they don't have much at his position. And kind of looking at his stats, it's going to be Troy Brown Jr. He went up in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, was averaging almost 3 threes a game last year. Got his minutes almost doubled from his rookie year to his sophomore year, and became more efficient. Very few guys, you double their minutes and they're more efficient than what they were before. I think Russell Westbrook's going to need somebody to kick out to. I think Bradley Beal's going to have him, and he's going to trust him just because he's played with him before. And I think we've seen it to where Westbrook can boost people's stats, and I think he's the benefiter of that. So I think that's why he gets the award. My honorable mention, again slightly biased, is Wendell Carter. I've been listening to a couple different podcasts with the Locked On Bulls, and they kept mentioning how good Billy Donovan was with high IQ bigs, and that is what we were preached coming out of the draft when we got Wendell, as he's a high IQ big with potential. And I think Billy Donovan could possibly unlock that this year. But the next one is going to be the Crybaby or Poor Sport Award. This is going to be a guy who is the first to request a trade this year. So who is your prediction for the first one to say deuces?
Now it's here's a segment called Story Time with Uncle Tanner. Once upon a time, in the great state of Ohio, who recorded himself like 2.5 inches taller than he actually is with them shoes. I don't know if he was wearing man heels or something, but anyways, back to the story. This man found himself, even though washed up, to still be one of the best players on his team. And he got visibly frustrated on the court to the point where they were making articles about it. It was all over Sports Center. He was, we're not winning games. And then come the off season, the team is abysmal. Come of the off season, you're seeing articles again within the last month. Oh, I found my love of basketball again. I don't buy it, because this team is going to keep losing, and he's going to get sick of it. And this man, Kevin Love, is going to request a trade.
I think Kevin Love's probably been secretly requesting that trade for 3 years now, but that contract is so damn untradeable. You got to do at least the Al Horford deal and probably a little more.
Hey now.
Okay.
You said who would be the first to request a
This is true.
trade,
This is true. I did put request.
not who would be the first to get one through.
This is true. I can see it. I really can. Kevin Love was high up there on my list. Mine actually though, because I looked at a little bit of half-ass internet research on this one again, and this man and another man who basically play the same position both started all the games together last year, which I thought was a bit weird. And I think, based on his All-Star appearance last year, this is going to drive Miles Turner as the first one to request a trade. I think a couple of games in, Sabonis slides to center and he gets put on the bench. And I think he loses his shit and is tired of being in every mock trade we've seen. He was in 15 mock trades, and it was confirmed he was going to go to Boston if that would have gone through. I think he's tired of the trade rumors and just eventually says, trade me. So that's my pick.
Man, living in Indiana, if that happened, I'll get into this because that's going to spoil one of my answers. I'll get into this later because that'll spoil one of my answers for one of our next awards here.
Okay, all right. So the next award we're calling the middle child, a.k.a. who out of teams that are getting a lot of media attention, not Detroit, things like that. Nobody cares about Detroit. Who's going to disappoint the most? So go ahead, because I have a feeling this is what tied into your last one. So go ahead.
No, this one actually isn't it. But well, when you asked me this question, I interpreted this as individuals who got a lot of attention. And so
individuals or teams. It could be either way.
Yeah. So this guy has been struggling for the last couple years now. And he kind of hit his boiling point when he thought he was robbed of the dunk contest. You know who I'm talking about. None other than Mr. Aaron Gordon is the winner of my Middle Child Award.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised because honestly I don't know if he finishes the season in Orlando, so I don't know if I'd give him that one. But mine actually is going to be a team. I have one team in each conference. My first one, despite my most improved, is Boston. I think Gordon Hayward had a little more control in that locker room. I know he communicated well with Brad Stevens, so I don't know maybe if that takes a toll on Brad Stevens or not. But I think Boston ends up closer to a 4 or 5 seed rather than a 2-3 seed like most people think. The Hayward and Enes Kanter and even Brad Wanamaker, those are big losses for that team that I think are going to add up.
I tell you, let me add something with Boston too. I will say my one hesitation with picking Brad Stevens and the Celtics. What was that draft?
Yeah, this was the one draft you could have moved up pretty easily. I don't think it would have taken much.
What was that draft? No, I mean, you didn't even need to move up. Like, pick a big.
Right, but if they moved up, they probably could have gotten Tyrese Halliburton to run that 6-man on that bench. And essentially well, no, they don't even need a big right now. Because you got to figure, Tristan Thompson's probably starting or closing for them. I would actually probably go more towards closing right now. And then you have Daniel Tice. Yeah, they did. That's what I'm saying. Tristan Thompson's your...
Okay.
It was one of the free agency moves. But yeah, he's probably your closing center. More than likely. You trust the championship experience. LeBron got him paid. Yeah. Point being, though, he's been in the finals. And I watched him dog the shit out of Golden State. It was disgusting. Right. But I think their center position's good. I think they needed a backup point guard. I think the Brad Wanamaker things can be bigger than they want to give credit to because you're trusting Marcus Smart to handle the ball more. You're asking Tatum and Jaylen Brown to handle the ball more. It's kind of part of the reason I think Jaylen Brown gets most improved is Boston advertised this switchable, versatile, whole bunch of wings on the court. You're starting to lose guys you can trust to play that other wing position that Gordon Hayward would have played if you ran Tatum at your 4 and whoever's running your 3. You're not trusting a rookie to do that right now. And with Kemba being out, I'm assuming Marcus Smart's playing more of a point guard quotations position than small forward. So I don't know who runs that spot.
Hey, I tell you, Boston Celtics, man. Hey, shout out to Aaron Nesmith. Go Vanderbilt. We got 3 conference wins in the last 2 years, but we still the only college with a lottery pick in each of the last 2 drafts. Come on now.
and they're all gonna fucking disappoint. But the last award here is Comeback Player of the Year. For this, we excluded Kevin Durant because I felt that it just wasn't going to be fair. Because Durant's a 25 plus point per game. Even if he dips down a little bit, it's 21, 22. Oh, well. I still think he would run away with this award in a heartbeat. So who is your Comeback Player of the Year minus Kevin Durant?
I had two guys.
Okay.
In my radar here. I didn't go for Steph either. But this is my comment. There are two people that Indiana Pacers fans love. All right, so Sabonis is kind of like 2.5. He's sneaking in there.
Mm-hmm.
But the two people, number two, they love their Miles Turner, and number one, they love their Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, VO actually made my list too. I think it's a contract year, and I think he goes all out.
And my second pick is a guy who kind of struggled to find his footing when he went in the league, but now he's kind of found a new team. He's back in his role. He's back in his element. He's getting his shooting back. He just needs to get his three-point shooting back to where it was at the University of Washington, Mr. Markelle Fultz.
I can see it, but then again, you're in Orlando, and nothing develops correctly in Orlando. So
They did a pretty good job with Universal Studios. That's thriving.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as on their court, they don't. Last well-developed player for them was probably Dwight Howard until he got an ego. But I don't necessarily know A, if he'll get the media attention, and B, he might plateau. It's a very real thing. Eventually, that jump shot's going to catch up, and he's just not going to be able to increase his value anymore. So my guy, I did mention I had Oladipo on the list, but then I also had a guy who left Boston, and I think now that he's getting more of an increased role, he's going to be the vet on this team. He's probably still technically going to be the first option on this team, strictly off of the fact that the rest of his team is so young. And I think it's Gordon Hayward. I think he gets back not quite to Utah level, but even 80% Utah level. Gordon Hayward is still a damn good basketball player. And I think he comes out and really tries to push Charlotte because he's getting up there in age, and eventually he's not going to be getting $30 million a year to try and get a title. So I think he's going to play a little bit harder and try and push this team into the playoffs and get them. They'll probably be like a 9-10 seed, but I think he's pushing for that 8 seed.
You know, I like that a lot too.
It again just depends on his health.
Back in his Jazz days.
Yeah, that
back when he had that baby face. Back when girls' dads were pushing him around, saying have her home by 8:30. You know, you just think of him in that Butler jersey. And I tell you what, you go to Hinkle Fieldhouse. To this day, you walk around the concourse and you see him in that Butler jersey looking like he's 15 years old. Good memories.
Yeah. But did you have anything else you wanted to add as far as any awards or any just kind of general thoughts on predictions?
Yeah. I think the Detroit Pistons will still suck.
Oof, yeah.
I think they'll suck even worse than they sucked last year.
Speaking of, the requesting trades,
Cleveland Cavaliers.
I think Blake Griffin's on that request trade list. I think he gets pissed with how this offseason went. Blake Griffin. I think Blake's gone.
Blake Griffin.
I think he's gone. With how bad their free agency went and how many people they added at his own damn position to lose shooters, I think he says I'm gone.
You know, I say who because when you're kind of just camouflaging a team that bad, you forget how good he is. I mean, it'd be really fitting. If
I
they
feel
got
so
him to the
bad
New York
if
Knicks and he'd be like their ninth power forward.
Yeah, it hurts with how when he wasn't hurt for that brief period of time that he was in Detroit, and he looked like a top 5 MVP candidate. He was handling the ball, shooting, dunking still. Like, he just looked dominant. And then he has a couple of injuries, and now he's got 6 other centers and power forwards on the roster. It looks like he's going to have to play like shooting guard or something because they just don't have anything. And I think he's going to request it.
Cleveland Cavaliers are going to suck again. They're going to be really bad.
Per Joakim Noah, who the fuck wants to play in Cleveland? Live by it.
I mean, hey, the
Shout out to
Sexton
Joakim
Garland
Noah.
duo, they're gonna be all right, but
I think they saw Dame and CJ and were like, we can recreate that shit. Watch. I think that's what they're trying to do there.
it's like those two little kids in the neighborhood in the cul-de-sac watching the game on their antenna TV in the garage and saying, "Yeah, we can do this too."
It's a small backcourt that ain't very good on defense, and I don't know who plays defense on that team. I don't. Because Isaac Okoro is going to need at least a little bit of time to get used to that NBA speed, and he's guarding. He's got to be guarding the best guy on every team, and he's going to get shredded. Shredded.
They're divorce attorneys.
Something, dude, because there ain't no defense being played on that team. It is fucking open season. You know how the Bulls were a couple of years ago, where a team, like especially Golden State, would come in and just do some dumb shit and hit like record amount of threes?
No, Mike, because I don't waste my time watching the Chicago Bulls.
Okay, yeah. Anyhow, Bulls suck. I know. I understand. But I believe it was 2, maybe 3 years ago. Golden State came to Chicago, and Clay set the record for threes because our defense was that bad. I think that's where Cleveland is right now. I think that's games that people rest. I think that's games that if you're pissed, you go in there and thrash them 160 to 80. And I think they're just the punching bag of the league this year because ain't nobody playing defense. You got two of the most selfish guards in the world. You got midget A and midget B that are selfish as hell like they're only children. And you're going to get crushed. And I think Drummond's not coming back. Drummond's going to walk. And Kevin Love's going to say, get me the fuck out of here.
I still remember in 2010, whenever that was, the first year LeBron left, they go play against, it might have been the Lakers, and they lose like 110 to 55.
Oh yeah, if you take LeBron out,
be allowed in the league anymore.
if you take LeBron out of their franchise history, what are they? Dog shit.
Ugly.
Other than a couple of decent runs with Mark fucking Price, this team has been a joke.
Downgraded with them new maroon jerseys. They just got the ugly colors, the ugly team colors.
Speaking of city jerseys, how you feeling about your Miami Heat? They look kind of clean.
Oh my
I can't
word.
fucking lie, bro. Them shits, I was jealous.
First thing I did, oh my word, the first thing I
So
did, I
fucking
saw
jealous.
that I was on my lunch break at work, and I texted one of my friends from college, and I told her, I sent her a picture. I'm like, I need this ASAP. Like, that
Like,
is some
that
heat.
motherfucker's clean. But then you got the
That
Bulls
is
who just do the
cool.
same fucking shit for 50 years. It's annoying. I need us
It's cool,
to be
though. It's
creative.
cool, though.
I need us to be fucking creative.
Speaking of Alvin Gentry and your sons, there have been some mixed opinions on their city jersey. What do you think about those?
Oof, let me relook at them real quick here because it's been a little bit. I've seen a lot of city jerseys since.
Sure.
So let's take a look here for 2021. Oof. First image, not a fan. It's clean. Is it the one? It's the Valley ones, right? Okay. I feel like you're trying to copy the Utah Jazz. That's my first thoughts. You're copying the Utah Jazz.
I tell you, other ones I like as I'm kind of skimming through here. I think the Nats one, that is such an improvement on the ones they released last year. I like the Bull. That's like old school, man. It's like,
I'm so tired. We have the same fucking jerseys every goddamn year.
I mean, still, I think the Dallas with the gold and white is pretty crispy.
Denver's looks like shit.
Denver, they do this every year. They're just like, let's keep kind of the same font and format, and it's like, let's throw a dart at a color wheel, and that's what will make our jerseys this year. Dumbest ones for sure are Detroit and Boston. Boston's looks like a practice jersey. And,
Yeah, Boston's is bad.
Detroit's look like something you'd wear if you were given a tour of a small campus.
I don't like Houston's.
I haven't seen Houston's yet.
It's like a baby blue type thing. I like Golden State's. I don't mind Golden State's this year.
The Bucks throws me with that blue.
Yeah. The Bucks, I'm mad they got rid of the Cream City jerseys because that was funny as shit.
The Pelicans are basic, but it fits
New
fits
Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Like some of these fit their fucking play. I like the Golden State one a lot. I can't lie. It gives me a throwback. the fucking Warriors one. It gives me throwbacks to seeing Monta Ellis and Steph Curry in Warriors jerseys, and I like that feeling. So then, therefore, I like their jersey. Because Monta Ellis was the shit. Y'all sleep on him.
Orlando's looks like somebody colored over a Sports Illustrated kids magazine. I don't like that.
Honestly, I can kind of see that. That's the bad thing about it. Because I can 100% see that.
Like, Portland, like, they overdid it. It just took me probably 15 seconds to figure out that it said Oregon on the front of their jerseys.
Yeah, some of them are, they're not the greatest.
But yeah, anyways, back on. My apologies. The Wizards, man, the American flag down the sides. Oh, that's crispy. But yeah, the Miami Heat. Best bet. I'm gonna be copping one of those before the end of the season.
Those are fucking fire. I might have to get a Tyler Hero one. I can't even fucking lie to you, because them shits are fire. And I'm sick and tired of having shitty Bulls jerseys because we have the same fucking jerseys.
It's a little different.
I need to start copping players. Like, I need to get one for Steph. I need to get one of like the old jerseys for Steph. I need to get one for Pride Monte. I got a couple more I want to get to.
Can I share a story with the Money Mike listeners?
Sure. What we got?
So this isn't NBA related, but back in our prime when we were both about 40 pounds lighter, we tried out for the freshman basketball team.
Oh god.
And Mike, what did you wear every day to that tryout?
I believe that was the Derrick Rose year, wasn't it?
Wore the Derrick Rose jersey, and this man was throwing shots. He was clanking them off the front of the rim. He was clanking them off the backboard to the point where the freshman coach, who was deciding who got kept, who got cut, was yelling over the railing. He was out here yelling. We were out there yelling. He's just calling out, D Rose, as he was like 1 for 20.
Wasn't here. I got called D Rose till I think probably our junior year. By the time everybody left, all the upperclassmen left.
That was good, man, but yes, sir. Anyway, sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Hey, you good. So now, last segments we will do is going to be the All NBA teams. Thankfully, our votes don't count. So if a player hears this and they're not on ours and it affects their contract, don't cry to me, bitch. Go cry to your agent.
And hey, I had a surprise for you, but
okay.
I also threw in actually 2 additional teams that
Ooh,
I thought
okay.
were appropriate for the nature of this podcast.
Okay.
So I just kind of threw it in as a little bit of a surprise.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and start with first team, and then we'll go back towards third team. So who is your All NBA first team?
My All NBA first team, of course, I have to throw in my predicted MVP, Dame Dollar, obviously. Then I got Luka, and then I got this guy named LeBron James.
Crumb?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. No, but I got Dame, Luka, LeBron, Giannis, and AD. Those are my NBA first.
So we are counting AD as a center?
I am. Yes,
Okay.
I am.
I've always been on the fence because it's hard to tell what the requirements are for center, and I don't know why the fuck they don't just make these non-positionless and just let us go to work. But so mine's actually going to be pretty similar, except mine is going to have Dame, James Harden, Giannis, LeBron, Anthony Davis. I think the Mavericks underperformed at the beginning of the year without Porzingis. And I think they kind of stutter in at like that 5 to 6 seed, whereas Portland's more of a 4 seed. And I think that pushes Dame over Luka in the end because they'll have fairly similar enough stats to where it'll work.
Sure.
Who is your second team?
My second team, I got James Harden. I got Jimmy Butler. I got Jason Tatum. I got Kevin Durant. And I got my defensive player of the year, Bam Adebayo.
Okay. So my second team is going to be Luka Doncic. And then I think Durant and Kawhi are the two forwards. I again am going to put Bam just because he was second on my DPOY, and I think Miami is a good enough team for it. And then did you classify Jimmy Butler as a guard or a forward?
I kind of just did like the 3 guards, 2 forwards.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
guard.
Okay, perfect. Because he's on my second team as well. I think, again, Miami, I think, makes a little bit more of a jump now that they're going to get a more consistent regular season. And I think he's a big part of that. I think Bam's a big part of that. And I think that's what gives them that second team bid. And then what is your All-NBA third team?
I got Steph Curry. I got my most improved player, Tyler Hero. Because I guess it's a little stupid if I give out that award, but don't even include him in my top 3 teams, right?
Okay.
And then we got Kawhi. And then we got, I threw him in as a guard just because, I mean, I don't really care. And then we got my 2 bigs, Embiid and Jokic.
Okay. So mine is going to be Dame, Steph, Tatum, and then I think Cat, and I think that Jokic will be that other one. Because I think Denver's still a good enough team to where, again, they're that top to mid tier, and he gets his name thrown in there because he was all second team last year. I think they take a little bit of a step back, so I think he falls to possibly a third teamer. All right, and then you said you had more teams here fourth.
Well, we still have the defensive and the rookie.
This is true.
From the outline you gave me.
Yes.
Let's start with the defensive, and you can go first on this one.
Okay, so defensive, I think this man finally gets some damn recognition on his name because he's playing on a top tier team. Drew Holiday. And then I think Jimmy Butler.
I agree.
Anthony Davis. Jaylen Brown. And then Ben Simmons.
Well, I snubbed AD. I got Ben Simmons in there, though. I got Gobert instead of AD, and I got Bam in there, too. So I got Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert.
Okay. And then my second team is going to be Jason Tatum. I think he takes a step defensively. I think Paul George gets back to at least semi him. Kawhi. And then, surprisingly enough, I'm actually going to give this one to... Who did I have in my notes? Let me see here. I had LeBron on this team as well. I think he classifies in that guard forward spot this year because I think he's going to play a lot of point guard. And then my center is Bam Adebayo because he was second on my list.
So I didn't make a second defensive team. I kind of forgot they did that. These awards I don't pay much attention to. But this is where I'll introduce my first team. It is the anti-defensive team, the can't guard a glass of water team.
Okay.
So at my point guard from Oklahoma University, I got Trae Young, just solely because of the fact he's a beanpole.
I concur.
That's why he's my point guard here. At the shooting guard, this is a pretty obvious one. Devin Booker. It's very apparent that he can't guard a glass of water. And I'm overweight, and I feel like he would have trouble guarding me some days.
Okay.
It kind of depends. He'd shoot the lights out on me. He'd still beat me by 80, but I think he'd be the NBA player least likely to stop me. At the small forward, I have RJ Barrett. Again, the beanpole effect. He's skinny. Typically doesn't fare well. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
At the power forward, this was solely due to watching him in the playoffs, in the bubble, and me tweeting and yelling at the TV numerous times to get him out of the game because, I mean, he'd get manhandled by Brianna Stewart, Brittany Griner, all of them. Kelly Olynyk is my power forward on the Can't Guard a Glass of Water team. And finally, at center, on the Can't Play Defense team, I have Enes Kanter, because if you watch him run, he looks like a confused elephant.
Interesting. For an honorable mention, I'd like to interject Zach LaVine. Unless I see some drastic improvements, I'm very tired of his inability to play defense. He looks like an early Harden without the scoring titles.
Yeah, him and Aaron Gordon kind of have the same problem, where they're both like super athletic. They both can make a lot of highlight plays, but they kind of both struggle with the fundamentals a little bit, just because they're that freak athletes. You know, Gerald Green was kind of the same way. He's the name that comes to mind when I think of that.
When you said that, I thought Andrew Wiggins was the first name.
Well, Andrew Wiggins, yeah, Andrew Wiggins, he's a character. He's falling short of expectations.
All right. And you're doing, you want to go first with your all-rookie team, or you want me to?
You can go ahead, buddy.
Okay. So, at guard, I have Tyrese Halliburton. I think he plays a lot in Sacramento. I think maybe Buddy plays a little bit of the 3, or I think Buddy requests a trade yet again. And then the other one is going to be LaMelo. Again, stat sheets, whether it's good or not. The 3 is actually going to be Obi Toppin. I think New York sits Julius Randle, and I think he gets a lot of runway. And then one of my other bigs, well, my only big actually is going to be Wiseman.
Same.
And the last guard I was kind of tore on. I thought about Isaac Okoro just because I know he's going to get a lot of runway. But in the end, I ended up actually falling back to Patrick Williams. I forgot to look at the Bulls roster, and I did. And I forgot that Otto Porter is technically who we're asking to play a majority of our forward minutes, and we've been running 3 guard rotations for 3 years. So I think he gets a lot of runway there with Chris Dunn being the honorable small forward that he was for us.
Sure.
Gone. I think he gets a lot of those minutes. Shaq Harrison's gone, who got a lot of kind of that tweener minute, and I think he gets a lot of it. And I think Lowry kind of goes out with a knick-knack injury, and he ends up playing kind of more 4, and then slides back and forth between those 2 spots. And I think he just gets a lot of playing time on a good team that hopefully will win enough games to get some media attention for once, in a positive way, I guess I should say.
So we matched on 4 out of 5 of those, and you brought up Buddy Hield, and he was actually my second place for the Poor Sport Award behind Kevin Love. But anyways, so we matched on 4 out of 5 of those. I had Halliburton, LaMelo, I had Obi, Wiseman, but then I threw in Denny Abdia.
That's an interesting one. I think he plays more of a bench role with Washington. I think Troy Brown kind of shines and locks himself in at that 3 spot. I think either Davis Bertans or Rui is rotating that 4 spot. So I think his minutes are just kind of limited, considering he's going to have to play primarily a 3.
Oh, so Rui was my 6th man on the Can't Guard a Glass of Water team. Again, kind of a little bit of a beanpole effect, but also the Gonzaga effect. Name somebody in the NBA from Gonzaga who's good at playing defense.
I cannot think of one off the top of my head.
Thank you. Case in point. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, more of it was like, I don't know, kind of that little European magic. We still got Luka ingrained in our heads, kind of in that caliber, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's just throw them in here. But yes, if that's everything you had to go over, I also have my second surprise team for you.
Okay, go ahead with your second surprise team.
So, another little story. We also had another friend who tried out for freshman basketball with us, and he's the man, the myth, the legend, fresh out of Peoria, Illinois, in the SC2 warehouse. Give it up for Tevin Williams. Yes. Devin Williams, the most iconic defensive rebound I have ever seen in my life. I don't know if you remember this story, Mike.
Oh, God.
Looking or showing you know what I'm talking about.
I have a feeling.
This man jumps up for a defensive rebound. He's a big boy. He was wearing he wore a triple X t-shirt. And this man, I don't know how he did it, but he landed on his feet, fell down, had the ball kind of above his head, catching the rebound, and when he fell, his shirt flew over his head, over his hands in the ball, and this man was stuck on the ground with his shirt over his head in the ball. He was trying to untangle himself. He was wiggling, kicking around. And surprisingly, he got cut. But man, Tevin's the man. And since Tevin couldn't be a part of the podcast today, I wanted to get him involved. And so this is what's called the All Tev team. And I called him at about 4 o'clock today. I said, hey, Tevin, when I say a position, I want you to name the first player you think of.
Oh, God.
And that's the All Tevin team. And so on the All Tevin team, let me pull this up. I wrote it in the notes on my phone. Here we go. At point guard, out of Duke University, and the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving. All right.
Okay.
At shooting guard, out of the university, and this is the 2020 team, mind you. At shooting guard, out of the University of North Carolina and the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
Wow, so I'm getting real creative with your picks, bud.
As small forward, out of St. Vincent, St. Mary High School, LeBron James. At power forward, out of the University of Kentucky, the New Orleans Pelicans, and now the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis. And at center, out of Louisiana State University, the Orlando Magic, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, a bunch of other teams when he was 385 pounds, Shaquille O'Neal. And that's the All-Tev team.
Wow. Kind of not surprised by that. I guess other than Kyrie in that list, the rest of it makes sense to me for an All-Tev team.
I know. Who would you think he would have picked as his point guard? I'm curious.
Probably Steph, honestly. Would have been my assumption.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was stunned that he picked Anthony Davis as power forward. I honestly thought he was just going to, say like a point guard at the power forward. I kind of expected him to do that a little bit. But
True.
I died in when I called him and he said MJ at the 2. I just cracked up.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Pretty good.
That's
That's
yeah.
the old Tev team.
All right. And on that note, I believe that was the last topic we had to cover. So this is actually, I think, the longest podcast we've had in either a very long time or ever. So we are going to go ahead and get this wrapped.
Good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Good to have somebody else to talk to. And this is the Money Mike Podcast. Peace out. All right. And now, Twitch, you get to deal with me finishing shit because I said so.
Swoop, swoop.
Because Twitch, as per always, gets the back behind the scenes.